reason for that is we do this at this step is when we assemble the guitar together here, and the fretboard is on like so, so imagine that's all assembled together. We need to know where to put the fretboard in this direction here, okay? And because we're going to be gluing that on today. What's important is that we have the proper scale length of the guitar. Different guitars have different scale lengths, and it's basically the length of the string, okay? And so these particular guitars are designed to have 25.5-inch scale lengths. And that means from the bridge to the nut that's here on the fretboard needs to be 25.5 inches. And so what we have to do before we can glue this on here today is we need to know where that location is going to be. And in order to do that, we have to fit the neck. We can't fit the neck while we still have that little nub that's on there, right? So that little nub is going to keep it from setting in there. The other thing that's going to keep the neck from setting in is that it may be slightly too wide here. Just slightly too wide and doesn't fit. Please don't force it in at this particular point, especially before that nub is removed. We want to make sure that it fits in there nice and snug, but is not a force fit. So there's really two operations that we're going to be doing on the heel of this thing in preparation for marking our scale length, our 25.5-inch scale length. And we're going to talk more about the scale length in the math exercise. I think it's tomorrow. So you'll learn more about that and why that's important. So we're going to sand this off right here, and then we're also going to test fit. If it fits wonderfully, we're going to leave it alone. If it doesn't slide in nicely, a nice snug fit, but not tight, just a snug fit, then what we're going to do is we're going to sand the sides of this heel just the smallest amount that's necessary to be able to get that thing to slide in. If you sand too much off the side, then when this goes in, it's going to be wobbly and it's not going to end up being straight when we're all done. So those are the two operations that we're going to start with. Once we get that done, then what we're going to do, I'll show you that operation here in a few minutes. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do a measurement. We're going to take out a bridge. We're going to set the bridge right here, and we're going to measure to that front edge of that nut, and we're going to make a little mark on the neck where this fretboard needs to be, and then later on today we'll know where it needs to be for gluing it down. Okay, so let me demonstrate those two operations to you as far as the fit is concerned.
First geometry lesson. If you don't notice, it is not super obvious, but you're wider here than here. And so Steve was showing, you won't be able to slide it in. This is actually a trapezoid. And it's not super obvious, but it is. So you will have to be able to push it from the top. It won't go in this way.
Right.
Okay.
I can see right away that's not going to fit for two reasons. So my first step then is going to get this little nub taken off, okay? And we're going to just use a belt sander to do that. We've got a belt sander. We've got 3 of them around in the classroom here, and we're going to take that off. Now, I want everybody to notice that this is a curve, okay? This is not flat. This is a curve. So when we're going over to the belt sander and we start sanding, we want to keep the neck moving. We don't want to just push it into the belt and end up with a flat spot, right? We're going to actually kind of rotate it into the belt to keep that smooth. And we're going to take it down to the surface that's already there. You don't go any deeper than that machined surface that's there. Does anybody know what this is from? Why is that there? Why are we taking it off?
I was holding it.
What's that?
The process.
Yeah, it's from the manufacturing process. When this was created with the CNC, and so it was setting on the CNC table, and when it's setting on the CNC table and the cutters are going around, there has to be something holding it down, okay? So there used to be a piece of wood that was stuck out here with a bolt hole that was holding it down on this end. when they took it off of the CNC, they just rough cut this off with a bandsaw. They didn't take the time to do a nice job, right? So that's what our job's going to be. And then over here as well, it's being held down. You can see the leftover portion of the hole right there. So that was where this end was held down. And there's some other material, obviously, that we're going to have to remove. So this is left over from the manufacturing operation. So it gives you a chance to talk to your students about, you know, yeah, this is how it came out of the box, but why does it look this way, right? And why didn't they do this for me, right? So why do you think they didn't do it?
Time is money.
Time is money. You got it. On this belt sander, if you start to see the belt creeping up or creeping down, there's a little knob here with a plus and a minus on it, right? So you can turn that to make a fine tune and get that thing to set where you want it to be. So it's just on and off right here. Safety, right? So we've got something that's rotating that could easily grab, you know, jewelry, ponytails, hoodie strings. I'm in Northern California, so we have lots of hoodies, right? Because it's cold there, right? When we did this presentation in Boulder City, everybody said, "What's a hoodie?" Right? they don't know about those things. So in any case, I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. You know how I'm keeping it rotated there? So you see I still have the nice curve there, right? But I can't feel any of the nub that was there anymore, right? So that's where we want to be. Also remember when you're using this, safety glasses. So regular glasses are fine, but if you don't wear glasses, we've got safety glasses over on the rack over there. Also today it's going to get pretty noisy in here, so hearing protection is probably advised as well once everybody's got all of these tools running. And so there are some earmuff type hearing protection back there that you can use. We also have some foam earplugs that you can use as well. But this is, you know, this could be a disaster for a student, you know, that's leaning over and some piece of jewelry or a ponytail or whatever falls into here. So this is, you know, anytime you have rotating, we're going to do a lot of things with rotating tools. We always want to be especially careful about those things. You notice I was keeping my hand, you know, far away. I didn't need to get my hand up close. I don't need to trim my nails, right? So just like that is all we need. This is a pretty coarse sandpaper. We'll talk about sandpaper more a little bit later on, but this is a coarse sandpaper, so it's going to remove the material really fast. So I really didn't have to use very much pressure at all. So, you know, this is what your kids will do. They'll turn it on and they'll do this, and then they'll start talking to their friends, right? And yeah, and pretty soon they don't have a neck left, right? So they really have to pay attention to what they're doing and realize that material cannot be put back. Okay, once it's gone, it's gone. And we're going to check the guitar body, make sure that there isn't any stuff down here in these cavities here. It's all cleared out in the corners. And as Alex said, we're going to just kind of press that thing down in there, and I'm going to see I can sort of get that in there, but to get it out again, I'd have to wrench on it, right? So that's too tight. So what I'm going to do is I've got some sandpaper over here. This again, some fairly coarse sandpaper. So I'm going to sand with this surface flat. A couple of strokes. There's something right there. A couple of strokes this way. A couple of strokes that way. Not very much. And I'm going to test it again. Okay, so it went in a little bit further, but still not enough, still a little bit too tight. So this is another one of those operations where you don't get carried away, you just do a few. Okay, it's getting better. But if I have to wrench it too much to get it out of there, I'm going to end up breaking off these little tabs right here. And then you have a new feature on your guitar. And we'll have that situation happening over the course of the week where we have maybe things you didn't intend to happen. And we just call those are new features, right? It's part of your customization. Okay.
You would never use like beeswax or something here to give it a little.
No, because we don't,
Yeah.
because we're going to be putting finish on this, right? And if we have anything that absorbs into the wood, then that's going to keep that finish from. There we go. Okay, so there it is. It's pushed in tight this way. It's pushed in tight there. Notice I pushed it down. I didn't try to push it in because of that taper. And it's not wiggly. It's not wobbly. I'm also looking at this seam right here and making sure that that's tight. Okay, if it's not, then there might be something on the bottom of the neck or in the pocket that's causing that. So we don't, because we're going to be measuring across this way. If this thing is up or down at all, that's going to change dimension. So a little lesson there. Okay, so we've got this thing so it's fitting nicely, and I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and do the demonstration of setting that 25.5-inch distance right now as well, just so that and then I can turn you loose and we'll all do those operations together. So now that we've got that neck fitted, this is where it's going to fit on Thursday when we attach it, right? We're going to attach this thing on Thursday. So we have to locate that fretboard. And we're going to measure from this bottom edge on the fretboard right here. That's going to be one measuring location, this bottom edge, because there's going to be a plastic, what we call a nut, that slides in there, and that's what the strings come across. And when that string hits the nut, that's where the vibration stops on the string, right? So you pluck the string, vibrate, 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 stops when it hits that nut, okay? So that's our first measuring point right here, all right? So we've got that. And then our second measuring point is going to be on the bridge. So this is a bridge. I want you to notice that on the back of the bridge we've got 6 holes and 5 holes, okay? 6 holes are for the string. We're doing a 6-string guitar, right? 6 holes are for the strings. Strings are going to go through. The 5 holes are for the mounting. There's also a set of 5 and 6 holes on the body pre-drilled already. Okay, so we want to make sure that our bridge is aligned with the right set of holes. Okay. The next location that we're going to measure from is on the bridge, and the bridge is sitting here on the end closest to where your controls are going to be. Okay, we'll get more precise later on, but on the side that's closest to you, where the controls are going to be, you're going to see this saddle right here. So there's a little saddle that's sitting right here, and they're spring loaded, right? So they can slide in and out like so. And they're pretty preset from the factory, so we can just kind of leave them in their original position that's right here. And you'll notice on the saddle, on the top of the saddle, there's a couple of little set screws, 2 set screws on each one, okay? Where that set screw is, the center of that set screw is your other measuring location, because those are just opposite. There's a little saddle, there's a little divot there that the string is going to go across, and that's where the string stops vibrating on the bridge. So it stops vibrating at the nut at this far end and at the bridge at these set screws. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set that bridge in there, and I'm just going to tape it down. Okay, and what some people like to do is tape it down at the back edge here so you can see the holes. Okay, I can look straight down and I can see the holes right through the bridge. Okay, so everybody kind of see, whoops, see what I'm doing there. Okay, I can look right down through and I can see a set of 5 holes and a set of 6 holes. So that's in there. This is setting here, and with a partner, I'm going to measure, and I'm going to measure starting at the 1 inch mark. Yeah, we're going to do what's called burning an inch, because at the end of that tape, there's a little tab that moves, and it may not be, you know, the more you use this tape, the more it's going to move, so it's not super accurate. So what we want to do is we want to set the 1 inch mark at that front edge of the nut, and then we're going to come back here, and I'm going to measure 26 and a half, right? Not 25 and a half, because I burned an inch, right? So I can see then that I need to come, so how are you there?
I need to 16ths towards you,
Okay,
right there.
yeah. So I'm at the set screw right here on the end closest to the controls, the control holes that are here. I'm at 26 and a half. He's at 1 inch at the end of the nut that's closest to me here, right? And so with that then, that's where our fretboard is going to be placed, and he's going to scribe a pencil line on the neck. That's typically about where they would be, right? So now, with the neck removed, later on today when we glue it down, we'll have an index line to go off of when we glue this, okay? So that's our operation. Questions about this? Okay, no gluing yet, okay? Just marking the line. We'll throw out a few bridges out here for you to use, a few pieces of sandpaper there, and the tape. There's some tape measures floating around, and so 2 sanding operations, maybe a sanding operation on the side, definitely on the end, but maybe on the side depending on how it fits, and then the location for your 25 and a half inch scale length.
The line's going at the top of the fretboard, right? Not where the nut is, but
Yeah, the
Right against that
line,
line?
so the fretboard comes up to the line right there,
Okay.
right? So everybody see where that's going to be. So yeah, we're just marking a little line right at that location, and then they can come apart. It doesn't matter at that point. Okay? All good? All right. Let's do that.